Most organisations want to be data-driven, but if we're honest, many end up simply being data busy. They invest in platforms and tools and governance frameworks, but yet day to day, they're still just fighting data fires, debating dashboards and wondering why data doesn't quite deliver. So if that sounds familiar, stay with me because this is the second video in a whole series where I'm going to show you a genuinely different way to think about getting data done with the minimum of time, cost and fuss. Hi, I'm Phil and I help all sorts of organisations to simplify and accelerate how they use data to achieve their goals. In my previous video, I talked about why data strategy and data operating models are essential and also why they can often fail to make a difference to an organisation's data fortunes. So if you haven't seen that video, you'll find a link to it in the description or it'll be in the comments if you're watching on LinkedIn. So now in this video, I'm going to start shifting focus away from the why and onto the how by introducing something called the DOME, which is the data operating model evolved. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most data operating models fail not because they're missing content, but because they're drowning in complexity. Many organisations have come to work in ways where their efforts towards being data-driven have just resulted in building bigger and heavier frameworks, dozens of committees, piles of policies, and layers upon layers of processes. Data management frameworks like DCAM or DARSM, they're brilliant, but they can often overwhelm organisations that just want to make progress and keep things simple, quick and inexpensive. So after all, that's the difference between data-driven and data-busy. It's about simplifying and accelerating ways of benefiting from data, not accumulating layers of expensive complexity. It shouldn't feel like you need a PhD in data management just to run your business. You just need a simple model that tells you clearly how your organization's data should work to create value. Because when data isn't working, it's rarely the technology that's lacking, it's the data operating model. So what is a data operating model? Well, a data operating model is simply how your organization's data capabilities fit together to deliver data-driven outcomes. It's the blueprint that links data ambitions to daily execution. It shows who does what and how and why, so that every data activity drives business value, not just noise. But there's a problem. Many organizations think they have a data operating model when in reality, all they have is just a collection of policies and procedures. They've got governance, documents, platform diagrams, maybe even a target data architecture. But if you ask 3 people in that organization how data flows through the business to create value, you'll probably get 3 different answers. We can call that data disorder, right? And it needlessly costs organizations time and money, as well as impacting their competitiveness and their credibility. So that's exactly the challenge that the DOME solves. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's the data operating model evolved. The DOME is an evolution of traditional data operating models. Fundamentally, it keeps everything that's essential, the clarity and the control and the accountability, but removes everything else that can make enterprise data management slow, expensive, and frankly, a bit over-engineered. So it's built on a simple principle, which is that when data capabilities are organized and connected in the right way, data will naturally start to deliver value. So let me show you what the DOME looks like. Here you can see the DOME, the data operating model evolved. It lays out 9 core aspects of data capability that are all grouped into these 2 clear layers. So the first layer is that data value chain, which is how we convert raw data into usable insight and value. And then around that, you've got this data trust fabric, which keeps that data value secure, compliant, and sustainable. And together, those 2 layers show how data must flow from source to value, but also how data trust is built in at every one of those steps, all those links in that data value chain. So you can think of the DOME as a framework that you can actually use, right? Not just flash up in slide decks. It helps everyone in your organization to understand how data should operate, from engineers to executives. Now, let's be honest, data leaders, they're not short of frameworks and methodologies or acronyms, but what they are short of often is clarity, right? They need a data operating model that helps them explain data to their peers in business terms without losing accuracy or authority. That's why the dome isn't just another architecture diagram. It communicates a common language that business and technology teams alike can both speak, and that language is the language of data capabilities that connect data strategy to data delivery. So each of those 9 core aspects in the dome contains a range of data capabilities that you can see here. Look, so there's 29 data capabilities in total, and as well as aligning to each aspect of the dome data operating model, each of those data capabilities is also aligned to one of 4 dimensions of data strategy, which you can see here. So that your data operating model and data strategy both portray the same set of enterprise data capabilities. In my previous video, I explained why that alignment between data strategy and data operating model is so crucial. So if you haven't seen that video or read that article yet, as I mentioned a moment ago, you're going to find a link to that in the description, or if you're watching on LinkedIn, it's down in the comments. So the dome ensures the way that your organization does data every day makes sense. It reveals where your data bottlenecks are and how to fix them without just creating new ones. Most importantly, it helps your organization stop being data busy and start being data driven. So over the next couple of months, I'm going to be taking you on this guided walkthrough through every step of the dome. And through my videos and articles, you're going to discover how each data capability fits together and how even small practical changes can dramatically increase the value that your organization gets from data. So if you've ever felt frustrated that your data investments aren't paying off, if you've ever thought that perhaps there must be a simpler way of doing this, well, there is, and you're about to see exactly how. So if what I've summarized here makes sense to you and you want to get notified when I publish each of these videos and the accompanying articles, just follow me on LinkedIn or subscribe on YouTube or both. Also, in the description or in those comments, you're going to find a link to a new data leaders community where members can collaborate with others to solve data management challenges and get free access to powerful materials and accelerators. So in that data leadership community, I'm going to be sharing documents and presentation templates, data strategy frameworks, a ready-to-go data operating model like the one you've seen here, and a complete enterprise data capability library, which I'll just pop up on the screen here so you can get a sense of the depth that's in that data capability library. So you're going to find a link to apply to join that data leadership community in the video description, or again, if you're watching on LinkedIn, they'll be in the comments. So that's it. As always, thanks for watching and let's get data done.